Hey, what's up everybody? It's Rudy Jalapeno here for Single Shift Ministry, and today I want to talk about a hot button topic. There are certain questions they say that if you ask 100 people, you're going to get 100 different answers. This is one of those questions. On today's episode of Save the Date, we're going to talk about the differences between being interested in someone, pursuing someone, or building with someone. So with our Save the Date series, we here at Single Shift Ministry are trying to usher in a new standard of dating amongst disciples. As I've mentioned before, dating is not actually in the Bible. So the best that we can do is apply Christian sensibilities and biblical sensibilities to the dating process going forward. So as with anything, there are going to be some people that want to adhere to this standard that we're trying to create. There's also going to be some people that do not want to adhere to the standard that we're trying to create. That's okay. That's fine. Heck, there's standards in the Bible that people do not want to adhere to. But after checking out this video and hearing what we have to say, I'm really hoping and praying that people will welcome this guideline that we're trying to introduce. I really feel like the Lord has put it on our heart as a group to help create good and honest communication for the betterment of our singles ministries. So with all that out of the way, I want to talk about the 3 words that are most commonly used whenever we start to actually like somebody: interested, pursuing, and building, and how they can be kind of separated into 3 pre-dating stages, so to speak. So without further ado, what does it mean if I am interested in someone? Well, the word interest in the dictionary translates to being curious about something or someone. Typically in our church culture, if we like someone, we're tempted to say, I'm interested in that person, or I have an interest in someone, or we make it a noun, I have an interest. Now, when it comes down to it, you can be interested in many people at many different times. You can have multiple interests in people. Being interested merely means that someone has kind of stood out to you. Maybe it's their hair, maybe it's the way they talk to you, maybe it's the kind of clothes they wear or something, whatever. There's just something about them that you find interesting. Now here's the big thing though. Whenever you're in this interested stage, there should be no expectations at all from either side. You don't owe them anything, and they don't owe you anything. They don't owe you their time. You don't owe them their time. They don't owe you nothing. You are merely interested. No communication has been disclosed between the both of you. You merely are interested in somebody. No rings. There are no rings given at this point. During the interested stage, you may do things like ask them on a date more often. You may text them out of the blue. These actions are completely fine and harmless as long as we have no expectations in return. We have to guard our hearts above all things, and having unwarranted expectations could really damage our spirit and damage our heart and create bitterness going forward with either the opposite sex or heck, just God in general. So if you send them a text and they don't text you back right away, that's fine. They don't owe you anything, okay? There should be no expectations whenever you're just interested in somebody. That's fair. Just because you're interested in someone, that doesn't mean that they have to be interested in you. During the interest stage, there are no risks involved. There should be no expectations. You're just getting to know somebody a little bit better, and they're getting to know you. There's merely one person in the ministry that stands out to you and you find them interesting. That's all it is. Let's not make it into something that it's not. Now let's go over pursuing. Honestly, I think people mistake pursuing with building a lot of times. And then there are some people that go straight from being interested in someone to building a deeper relationship with them. And they skip the whole pursuing aspect of it altogether. And that's fine. But let me tell you why. A lot of times, and hear me out here because this is a quote unquote new teaching, I feel like pursuing is something that happens, it's more so mentally. It's the way you kind of tend to talk to somebody, the way you look at them. And a lot of it's internal, it's not even expressed. So the idea of pursuing It's something that happens in your mind. So let me explain here. Whenever you're interested in somebody, you're going to want to spend more time with them. You're going to want to, talk to them more often. But whenever you're pursuing somebody, the types of questions that you're asking are going to be a little bit different. So let's say you go on a date. You may start asking deeper questions. You may start asking compatibility type questions instead of just the regular surfacey ones like, what'd you do at work today? Or, what kind of movie do you like? Your feelings are starting to grow for that person. So you're wanting to ask deeper and deeper questions so you can get to know them on a much deeper level. Surfacey topics just won't cut it anymore because you're wanting to know more about that person. Mentally, you're pursuing something with them. Again, at this point, you may not have talked to them about a relationship together, but you're starting to think about it. You're no longer just kind of interested. Mentally, you're processing things more of like with a plan ahead. So, as I was saying, when it comes to pursuing, I feel like that's more of a mental process that we put ourselves through. Now, some of you out there, I know you're just deep people as it is. You ask these types of questions regardless. I mean, I've been asked these types of questions on a first date. I've asked people these types of questions on those first date. That's totally fine. But that's why I said it's kind of a mentality thing. Because again, as with being interested in someone, there's been no real communication about the relationship or where you stand. Therefore, there should be no expectations either. The pursuing takes place in your mind and it helps to lead your heart on a very intentional path, which takes us to the next level, building. Now, when it comes to building, there's a lot to talk about. Just that word in and of itself. There's been a lot said about building. There's been a lot said about what it means or whatnot. I'm okay with the word. I'm okay with what it implies, but I do think we need better communication when it comes to building. I've heard many different arguments about the word building and what does it mean? What does it mean to this person? What does it mean to that person? Let's change the name. Let's make the name something else and it'll be totally better. And I'm telling you guys, completely blunt, honest with you, we do not have a definition problem when it comes to building. We have a communication problem, okay? Listen to me. We do not have a definition problem. You can change the word building to skydiving. You're still going to have people that screw it up. You're still going to have people that don't quite understand what's happening because we have a lack of communication between one another. And that's the biggest and most important thing going forward is that we have to be brave enough and we have to love each other enough to communicate properly when it comes to this crazy thing called dating. The biggest thing when it comes to building is you build something in order to create and establish, all right? The Bible talks about building. I just want to read this to you real quick. In Matthew chapter 7, verse 24, it says, "Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, yet it did not fall, because it had its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against the house, and it fell with a great crash." When it comes to building a relationship, we have to have a strong foundation of communication. If we don't have that, the relationship will fail. So this whole video, we've been talking about communication. So during the building stage, what do we get to communicate? You guessed it, our feelings. Guys get to talk about their feelings. So during the building stage, the guy would traditionally tell the girl, "I like you." 3 simple words, very easy, "I like you." Or if you're British, "I fancy you." Now, guys are usually the ones who take the lead when it comes to communicating this. A girl could do it too. There's nothing that says you can't, but traditionally it's the guy. We can discuss girls taking the lead in that in another video, but the traditional way is usually the guy saying it, and from all the girls that I talk to, you ladies pretty much prefer it that way. So for the sake of this video, we're going ahead and just go with the traditional way that, that it's done. So you know you like someone, you're interested in them, you've mentally pursued them, and now you want to build towards a relationship with them. Where do you start? Well, the best place to start is in prayer. You pray. But you don't just pray for you. You don't just pray for the right thing to say, or you don't just pray for the moment that you can sweep her off her feet. You really pray in a selfless way. You pray for God to guide your steps. You pray for the Spirit to guide your steps, but you also pray for her. You pray for her spirit. You pray for where she's at. You pray that she's emotionally and spiritually ready for you to reveal these types of feelings to her. Second thing you do is you get advice. Get advice from her friends. Get advice from the people she talks to. If you know who her discipler is, get advice from her discipler. Talk to the people around her. Let them know that you like her and try and figure out if she feels the same way or if she's at least open to the idea of feeling the same way. You can get a really good feel for where she's at spiritually and emotionally if you talk to her friends. She may not be ready for a relationship right now, whether it's spiritually or emotionally. And if you really care about somebody, that type of information is going to be very important to you. Now, some of you may not want to get advice before you blurt out how you feel about her. I mean, it's okay. She's an adult. You're an adult. You guys can do what you want. However, with doing that, you do run the risk of her not being ready to build with somebody. Or maybe she says yes in the moment because she doesn't want to hurt your feelings, and then she thinks about it a little bit more later on and changes her mind. Or her being so surprised that she says yes in the moment and later on rethinks what she said and decides that, no, that's not something she wants to do. You run the risk of doing that if you do not get advice from somebody. So what do you say? There's many different ways you can tell a girl how you like her, but just for the sake of this video, let's keep it very, very tame. No need to blast out Peter Gabriel from your boombox. Let's just keep it simple, silly. So when you talk to her, just be confident in what you're getting ready to say. It could be as simple as like, hey, I like you. I want to build a deeper friendship with you. There's a few different things you could say, but some variation of that will convey exactly what you want to say, but also kind of where your heart wants to lead. Now, conveying your feelings that way says two things. One, it says, I like you, which is essential knowledge for her. She needs to know that in order for you guys to kind of move forward. And also stating that you want to build a deeper friendship, what that says is, I wanted to get to know you at a much deeper level than I do now. Now, both of those statements require both you and her to be on the same page in order for your relationship to deepen. Because remember, you guys are still just friends. That's all building is. It's just building a deeper friendship. Guys, don't be afraid of the F word. Don't be afraid of friend. Because regardless of whether you say deeper friendship or not, once she knows that you like her, that will clearly convey your intentions. So after you tell her that you like her, lay out a plan. Tell her, hey, look, I'd like to have weekly phone time with you, maybe once or twice a week. I would like to take you out on a date at least once a month, maybe a couple times a month. If you don't know who her discipler is, ask who her discipler is and let her know that you're going to be talking to them about your friendship going forward. You don't have to have, a complete blueprint, a complete 10-stage plan or anything like that. Don't overcomplicate things, guys, but at least let her know, hey, look, I like you, and here's my plan to see if we can build a relationship. And don't be afraid to talk about it either. If she's not up for, multiple phone calls in a week, that's okay. If she doesn't want to have multiple dates in a month, that's fine too. Give her a chance to warm up to the idea of being interested in you. For some girls, just the fact that you're interested in them makes them more interested in you. The most important thing is that she knows how you feel, and knowing is half the battle. And because I know the question will come up, and it has come up, people have asked, can you build with multiple people at one time? The answer in my mind should be no. because the act of building, the thought of building someone, it makes that person special. And you can have multiple special people, but why would you want to? You know, if you care enough about somebody that you're not just interested in them, you're mentally pursuing them, and you want to build a deeper relationship with them, they're set apart. And if you're willing to tell multiple people that you like them and that you're willing to build a relationship with them, that's a pretty strong indication that maybe you're confused, or you might not be ready for a committed relationship with one person at this point of your life. Now, that doesn't mean you stop encouraging other sisters. You still keep taking people out on encouragement dates and being a benefit to your ministry. But when it comes to like a special interest, that really should just be with one person. At least those are my thoughts. Okay, guys, I got one more thought I want to leave you with today, and it's kind of hard to hear, but hear me out. The ideas and practices conveyed in this video require a certain level of humility, patience, and honesty in communication. I want to tell both the boys and the girls, if from the bottom of my heart, if you feel like you do not want to have these types of conversations or this type of communication with someone you claim to have affection for, you are not ready to be in a mature relationship. Relationships require humility, patience, and communication. It requires putting the other person's needs before your own. These types of practices that are talked about in this video are foundational, and you have to have a strong foundation if you want your relationship to work. Otherwise, you are going to crash and burn. So, thanks so much for watching. Follow us at singleshiftministry.com. My name is Rudy Jalapeno. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all that. Thanks a bunch. We love you guys. See you next time.